because we're working by percentile. Right? They're not going to get they're not likely to get exactly the same score. On the ACT, it's what's called a standards reference test. You'll get the number out of 36, which relates to how well you did, how many correct answers you got. So again, 1600 on the SAT means you're better than everybody else, basically. Right? 36 just means you did everything on the test right. And you guys can look into this later if you decide to take the SAT and or ACT. These all, both of these tests measure pretty similar things. On the SAT, reading, writing and language, math, and there's an optional essay. What's an essay? Anybody? Essay?
Essay.
What is it?
Passages or something like that.
Passages.
Research about something.
Research, yeah. Okay.
And all of it,
Sounds right.
Mathematics.
Mathematics were much the same, covering arithmetic. What's arithmetic? Anybody? Plus, minus, times, and divide by. Plus, minus. So the simple stuff. Algebra 1 and 2. Geometry. What's geometry? Squares, circles, triangles. How about trigonometry? Trigonometry. Sine, cosine, tangent, stuff like that. And data analysis or statistics. Very much the same thing on the ACT and both of these. But the ACT has science reasoning, right? You see that the SAT doesn't have science reasoning, which is part of why the ACT is the preferred test for people going into college. If you want to go to college in the United States, again, which is very much like Canada, you'll have to have a high GPA in order to get into a good program. GPA here is what, 5 points?
Yes. Yes.
In the US it's 4 points. They might have 4.3 in some schools to allow for A+. And here's your standard percent. These are percents, these are the letter grades, and here's your 4-point scale. Sometimes, again, for A+, they allow 4.3, right? And then the university would adjust based on what grade point system your school uses. You guys have heard of Harvard University or no?
Harvard?
Yeah. You've heard of it? Okay, good. You've heard of it. Me too. If you want to go to Harvard, we can see these blue and green dots at the top are the ones that were accepted. All those red dots, rejected. Not allowed to go. If you wanted to go to Harvard, chances are you will need a 3.9 or 4.0 out of 4.0 for your GPA. And even then you can see many are rejected. You'll also need about a 33 or higher on your ACT or comparable test score on your SAT. So you need to be really one of the best students in the entire country to go to a school like that. Of course, which is why it's quite exclusive and also very expensive. Let's compare LSU, Louisiana State University. Still a very good public university. Minimum GPA or desired GPA 3.5. 3.5 out of 4 points. So we're at the B plus A minus range. That's a little more manageable for a lot of students. ACT recommended 30 with 30 English or 29 with 31 English, right? SAT recommended a little bit lower than what we see at Harvard, obviously. We're looking at about a 33 for Harvard. Looks like a minimum of 30, so we're close to the same on minimum, but 33. Test scores, GPA, and then your extracurriculars are important. If you're applying to a university, whether it's in the United States or Canada or anywhere in the Western world, you want to talk about what you do in your community, in your application package. You want to list the number of things you do in your community. Are you on a sports team? Do you work with charitable organizations? Do you volunteer your time, right? Are you working with old people? Are you working with students in your spare time? Right? Are you volunteering at the mosque? What are you doing to improve your community? And demonstrate that you have a high GPA, right? And take those tests. It's not that you must, you don't have to volunteer. You definitely need a high GPA to get into a good school, and you need a high test score. Volunteering helps, right? So you see, this is a good example. You see a lot of red up here. You see red all the way to here, right? So some people are rejected even though they have very high ACT and very high GPAs. It's probably because those people aren't doing much in their community. They have to do a little bit extra, right? So if you play sport, if you volunteer, right? If you are working, or if you're a member of some, right, or different organizations, you have a higher chance of getting into the university for sure. Or if you're international students, you might actually get a point or two for that, right? Okay, back to comparisons. The United States and Canada, like I said, quite similar in our systems. Although we have a few significant differences. For example, the United States is about 10 times as big as Canada population-wise. It's got almost the same land area, 3.5 million square miles, 3.8 million square miles, but about 10 times the population. We don't have an official language, technically. Technically, we don't. What's your official language here? Arabic, obviously. Do you have a second official language?
No.
No. If you had a second official language, what do you think it would be?
English.
It would probably be English, yeah. Can you name a country with 2 official languages?
What?
Can you name a country with 2 official languages?
India.
India, sure, they have English and Hindi. Likewise, Canada has French and English, right? We won't talk about my feelings of French as the lingua franca. I personally think learning French is kind of a waste of time anymore. I guess I don't mention my feelings on that.
What?
It's
Can't go anywhere.
English, right?
Nobody uses it.
Just in French.
Yeah, about 30, 40 years ago, people thought French was going to be comparable to English for international business.
And that's impossible.
Yeah, so we kind of X'd that one, and we've got English now. And Mr. Dan and I got lucky in that regard. Socially, we're a little bit different as well. In the United States, we've got about 61.3% white, look like me or Dan, I suppose. Whereas in Canada, it's about 77.7%. We have a lot of Hispanic or Latinos from South and Central America. Can you guys name any countries in South and Central America? Colombia,
Brazil.
Mexico, Brazil. Yeah, places like that.
Argentina.
Argentina, yep, these are all Latin countries. About 5.7% Asian, most of them Chinese or Filipino, a lot of Filipinos, about 3 million Filipino American
3 million?
with a passport, yeah. Yeah, plus their visitors and things.
Oh.
About 13% black or African, 2.6% mixed race, means white father, black mother, vice versa. Asian, one Asian parent, one black parent, etc. Okay, 2.2% Hawaiian and 1.3% Native. Whereas what the Statistics Canada calls it, the visible minority population in Canada is about 22.3%. So we're racially a little bit different. The United States allows more immigrants than anywhere in the world. You guys have probably heard on the news lately that Donald Trump has reduced immigration, right? But we still have a lot of immigrants. About 7 million people in the last 10 years got new passports, right? And they're from all over the world. So that's a lot.